I'm Rob,
I'm John,
and this is the Mint One podcast,
where we talk all things Web3 and the rise of blockchain gaming.
So John, everything's been completely fucked. Why is it no longer fucked?
The good question. Let's dive into the topic.
Excuse that intro. We need to hook people, and there's a big rise of trying to hook people in the opening 10 seconds. So yeah,
Bit like Web3.
Well, exactly. We had 10 seconds to hook people, and if we don't, then it fails. So now you're here. Please stay for one, and then also while staying, follow us on everything. Just go through one by one. Follow us. Comment on this video. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a comment. Let us know who you want to interview. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Is there anything that we haven't ever touched you would like to know more about, or you would just like to hear our thoughts on it? If we could be as bold and arrogant as to think you might want to hear our thoughts. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, a 5-star review helps. I think that's all we've got is 5-star reviews. So don't break that. Okay, just 5-star reviews.
You're just asking for someone to go
I know. I really,
star,
I've made it off my own back, but that's fine. Okay, so there's so much negativity in Web3 at the moment,
including our last episode.
Exactly, and even our last few episodes, you can't help it.
No,
but it's still a space we love. It's still a space we believe in, particularly blockchain technology. As a technology, is still incredibly powerful. Yeah. Even if some of the things it's used for fall apart, doesn't matter, it's still moving forward. So we decided we needed maybe a little bit of a hopium episode where we discuss the positive things that have happened recently and the reasons to be positive going forward. Because if all you hear is negativity, you get fatigued. I don't know about you, but I get fatigued reading bad news stories. Like when crypto crashed last year, I was just so sick of reading, like waking up, checking my phone, and it just being disaster after disaster. I mean, you just so tired of it that you start to seek any little positivity. So
I think
let's be that glimmer of light.
Yeah, we should. I think the whole Web3 is dead, NFTs are dead kind of terminology has almost become a meme in the gaming communities and things. But that doesn't mean that there isn't value here. That doesn't mean that there isn't stuff to look forward to.
Demonstrably so. In fact, the more I looked into it, I don't know about you, but the more I looked into it, the more I was like, oh, I forgot about that. Oh yeah, there's that as well. Oh wow, yeah, they did that. Like my list expand. One thing I just want to slip in here early is just before we came on the pod, I was like, right, have I got everything I can think of? I thought, you know what, I'm going to ask ChatGPT. Actually, no, it's Google Bard. I was like, right, I'm going to ask Google Bard and see if there's anything I missed. And it gave me some really generic rubbish, which I'm like, increased institutional adoption, growing DeFi ecosystem, like just stuff with no substance to it, even if true. And then I said, can you please give me specific news stories? And it gave me some, but then it said, here we go. These are just a few examples of the positive developments that have taken place in crypto, blockchain and Web3 space in 2023. It's an exciting time to be involved in this rapidly growing industry. One of the positives it gave me was China has banned all crypto-related activities. Didn't realise you were so anti-China.
Jesus Christ. I think you need to use a different AI tool.
Well, I don't
doesn't sound like Google Bard's helping you out.
Yeah, I mean, Bard doesn't seem to like China very much. But
get on Bing or something else.
I haven't really used Bing much.
I don't think anyone's used
I still use... well, no. I mean, yeah, that's a really redundant sentence. I don't think anybody has since it's been forced down the throat. But usually I use ChatGPT, but I thought I'd give Bard a whirl and found out that it's
hopeless,
xenophobic. So
wonderful.
Please don't sue me, Google. I was just joking. All right, chill out.
Yeah, but I mean, as we were saying, to get back on topic, there is a lot to be positive about, and I think the last time we kind of did a positivity opium episode was quite some time ago, and kind of like the episode beforehand, where it'd been a while since we'd done our unpopular opinion. So much has changed since we last went through the positive aspects of the space that it's really night and day. When we last covered this topic, it was a lot of, we hope this might happen and we hope things will go this way. And now we're in a position where tangible steps have been made, and we are genuinely in a much better place than we were 2 years ago in multiple different areas. And I think it's time for us to dive into them. So
get us started. Do it.
Sure. So I mean, this is a blockchain gaming podcast, or it pretends to be anyway. And a lot has happened in blockchain gaming, especially over the last year and a bit. I mean, the Epic Game Store's adoption of Web3 games continues. Gods Unchained probably being the latest big one. I'm waiting for games like Metalcore and Sparkadia or Sparkball or whatever they decide to call themselves now, getting on the Epic Game Store, because I think those will really get people involved. I hope
they're more mainstream games, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, PlanetSide 2 isn't on the Epic Game Store. I think that's a Steam exclusive. So yeah, I mean, Tim Sweeney, if you're listening, get Metalcore onto the Epic Game Store. Oh yeah, absolutely. But no, especially with games. I mean, games are... I mean, there's still a lot of trash out there, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of clickers, there's a lot of bullshit. But the good launchers, the existing launchers out there, your Epic Games of the world, and also, the newcomers like your Fractals and your Elixirs are starting to become actually decent game launchers because they have good games on them. Yeah. And there's so many just new ones popping up, and the existing ones have better games on. And if you want to play, or if someone recommended me or asked me to recommend them, a Web3 game now, I'd feel a lot more confident that I'd recommend them something they like rather than something that they'd look at and think, what the fuck's this shit?
Yes, that's fair. It's interesting that you talk about those launches, because that is sort of one of the areas that's improved is the infrastructure around Web3 gaming, which was always pretty flawed. And then we've seen things like Sequence, we've seen Ultra, we've seen Fractal, we've seen... there's obviously tons. But there was an interesting... I don't know if you saw it yesterday. I've just finished writing about this, so it's fresh in my mind. The DApp Radar and Blockchain Game Alliance collaborative report on blockchain gaming. Now, if we'd done this episode last month, that report would have been quite depressing, because investment in blockchain gaming, well, Web3 gaming, as they call it, in June was so low. I don't know if you saw it, but it took a massive dip. It went from like 500 million down to 68 million. I mean, 68 million is still massive, but that drop, it had been significant for like 3 months in a row. It was over 400 million invested per month. And then it dropped to 68 million, probably because of the Coinbase, SEC, Binance, Ripple, blah, blah, blah. And now it's bounced right back up. But the reason I brought this up is that, where was the graphic? This is thoroughly fascinating content, listening to me.
Brilliant silence on a podcast. That's exactly what people tune in for.
Yeah, that's why you should subscribe to this podcast.
For more thrilling silence on the Mint One podcast.
So the reason I brought this up is that nearly 2/3 of the investment we've seen in the last month has been for infrastructure around Web3 gaming, which I think is indicative of where we are. Where people are starting to realize that these games that are trying to rush the dev cycles and get them out, if they're not working, you need to look further forward, and investment in the infrastructure around it has been significant. And that, I think that's really one of the positives. We're just building better foundations going forward, which we have traditionally sucked at. Like, we got better at onboarding. Onboarding is like the chief goal. And then we kind of solved onboarding. But everything else is just chaos. There's, games are spread across a million different launches. And let's be honest, most of us didn't want to download the Epic Games Store because we were like, I've got Steam, I don't want another one. And then, EA launched their own, and soon you got like 9 different launches on your computer, which you don't want. Whereas now we're starting to see some solid examples that have most of the games on. So I think that is one area that's certainly a positive for me. The other areas of positives, I've got a real host of things, from finance to infrastructure to utility on NFTs. I think financially, so we don't talk about finance that much because we're not financiers. We don't have financial backgrounds. However, there's some stuff that's just, plainly positive. I think for me, the real big takeaway is Michael Saylor's extremely extremely bullish approach to Bitcoin.
Yep.
Where was it last month? I think it was the end of last month. He bought another $347 million worth of BTC, which means he now holds over $4.6 billion worth of Bitcoin. And he, if you don't know who Saylor is, give him a quick Google. As his track record in investments is staggering. Like, the guy really does seem to see the future. So that alongside the other financial institutions, like Goldman Sachs opened a dedicated crypto trading desk. Morgan Stanley offered only wealthy clients, make of that what you will. They offered only wealthy clients 3 different crypto funds that they'd started. Only wealthy clients, though. Peasants not welcome. And BlackRock obviously working on the Bitcoin ETF, which looks like it's going to go through, but is taking... someone at BlackRock recently said that it's not going to happen until probably late this year, early next year. But whatever, that's the future.
Yeah, I mean, we've also got things like PayPal stablecoin, which the Bank of America seems to be not very keen on. So, I mean, how far...
It's an interesting one, though, isn't it? I didn't expect that.
No, I don't think it will be the first financial institution to try and create their own stablecoin. I mean, it seems an easy way for a pre-existing bank or other financial institution to get into the space. Like, I don't know, you'd have Barclays coin or HSBC coin or whatever, and they would just be alternatives to like a British pound stable coin that they create and they hold, and it's just a safer way for them to dip their toes in and trade in crypto assets without having to, trust a third party. So I think we're going to see more of that kind of thing. And again, it's more adoption, and it's the sort of thing we like to see. But I don't know if you think or feel this way, but I don't think having 25 stable coins of or imitations basically of like a fiat currency is necessarily a great thing. Like
don't know.
There's USDT and USDC, and I'm sure there's lots of like smaller ones as well. There isn't really a leading British pound stable coin. I don't think, not one that's got a gigantic market cap anyway.
No, not one I know of. I think so. I don't know the answer to that. Neither of us really know how useful it is having multiple stable coins. I mean, it sounds like one stable coin would be sufficient, but obviously there's different needs. But I think the reason I was so pleased to see PayPal making this move, however unexpected it was, is simply they're the largest fintech provider in the world. So that's as far as mainstream adoption goes, that's a 10 out of 10 move from PayPal. I also saw, did you see the thing about the freezing accounts thing?
By who?
With PayPal.
Yes, I've heard of it, yeah.
So, I mean, there was tons of people fear-mongering about the fact that baked into the stablecoin is that people could have their balances frozen and then liquidated without their control.
Interesting.
And I was like, oh my God. So that's that ruined. And then there's a guy called Crypto Carl. He worked on this project. He worked on the PayPal PYUSD stablecoin. And he was like, it's a really interesting thread. We should put it in the show notes because he explains why, firstly, everyone has that power with their stablecoins. It's just something that's baked into everything. It's not, the freeze and seize is in USDC, BUSD, USDT. It's just a core requirement, is what he said. But also, so I think he makes, I'll just quickly read this because I think he makes some great points. And like I said, he worked with PayPal on this. So he said, why is it significant? It's another step towards legitimizing crypto. PayPal is the world's largest fintech provider and carries incredible brand reputation. PayPal's decision to launch a stablecoin is not fuck around and find out. There was a clear vision, strategy, methodical approaches at all levels, technology, regulatory, and partnerships. It will enable millions of people to safely enter Web3. PYUSD, it's horrible to say, clunky, is held bankruptcy remote, unlike USDT and USDC. I don't really know what that means, but some financially minded folks seem to think that does make it less risky than USDT and USDC. And then apparently they have a ton of different partnerships all lined up, merchants and cross-border things, and it's a really good thread, and it gives you an indication of just how important that might be.
Yeah, and I mean we've already seen the likes of, I believe it's Shopify.
Yes, with
who've
Venly,
entered as well.
it?
So I think they've done I believe they partner with Doodles. If that's wrong, then I apologize. I know Doodles partnered with some Web2 popular storefront, but I mean, if we're getting all these massive financial institutions and payment providers on board, plus the actual storefronts and all of that, then that will make it all the easier for existing businesses and companies to be able to use and trade in crypto if they wish. I mean, there's already plenty of, at least when it comes to like PC parts, plenty of companies that will accept crypto for payment, which is fair enough.
I saw my friend plays World of Warcraft still, and he showed me that if you buy gold, which is something we've talked about a lot, because it's against the game's terms of service, that kind of gold, you can pay in any cryptocurrency you want.
Oh yeah,
which is probably not helping the underworld vibe that was originally there with Silk Road, but
no,
still.
But yeah, it's great to see so many institutions getting on board, and I think we'll only see more. I know in the past when we had like HSBC getting Sandbox and stuff, that was just kind of surface level marketing bollocks. Yeah. But it seems we're now getting more tangible steps being made, and I'm sure even the financial institutions that don't have a clear public-facing link to Web3 quite yet are certainly exploring options in the background and how they can perhaps utilize this technology. I'm sure many of them aren't anywhere near a stage yet where they are comfortable taking any risks, but they're closer to doing so, which is always a good sign.
Yeah, and we've seen, particularly in the last year, which is strange given how poor the market's been, but in the last year we've seen lots and lots of major companies making moves with blockchain technology, which has been a recurrent theme for several years now, but it's good to see that even in the crypto winter, we saw the likes of Nike launch .swoosh, their NFT sort of side brand, which may or may not be integrated in games anytime soon. It's meant to be integrated into EA Sports games, where you can buy the NFT trainers. They're also working on phygital stuff, where you buy the trainers and you get the NFT version, which just seems that really, I was talking to someone the other day about this, that really does seem inevitable and probably immediate that's going to happen any day, where you buy anything you buy fashion-wise can be ported over to whatever game you're playing. That really does seem a logical and immediate step.
I feel like there's already been, especially in MMOs you've played, there's been kind of a limited integration of it, like non-Web3 related. Yeah. But for example, in Final Fantasy is the first one that springs to mind, where you can go into their in-game shop and you buy this mount, and they'll send you the physical plushie, and
send you a physical horse. That's the partnership.
That would be a hell of a digital
great marketing campaign.
But I think if we can make that into something that happens more often and with more important things than a mount that no one really cares about.
I mean, Fortnite's the gatekeeper, right? Because the problem with a lot of these games is they don't want to break the immersion, which is at risk. If I don't want to run around Ironforge in World of Warcraft and see some crazy armor from the new raid, and then I turn to my right and I see the latest Nike tech fleece. I mean, it does break the immersion, but games like Fortnite have already, I mean, they don't have immersion. They don't care for immersion.
I think a game that could really quite easily implement this is Fall Guys. I mean, it's owned by Epic. Yeah, they're always partnering with every brand under the sun. They've got something going on with WWE at the moment. They've done SpongeBob SquarePants in the past. Like, let's say as part of their WWE partnership, because I mean, they're already in Web3 or have partnered with companies to get their branding and, wrestlers and things into Web3. Let's say you bought the Randy Savage Fall Guy outfit, and they also sent you a physical Randy Savage Fall Guy in the mail to you. That would be super cool.
Yeah. I don't think we've seen enough of that. I know Wax has been pushing their digital kind of side of things, but I still don't think
it's
we've
like,
seen...
do you want to buy a T-shirt with a wax logo on it? It's like,
I want to see. I mean, I'm sure they're working on the big partnerships, but that's what I want to see. I want to see. You've got to want both sides of it. It can't be like, when you buy cereal and it used to have a little toy in it. Like I don't. I'm buying it for the cereal. Although as a kid I did buy it for the toy.
Yeah, exactly.
maybe I'm talking rubbish.
But more of that.
We also saw Adidas and BAYC, Bored Apes. They collabed. I don't think they did anything. Actually, I think they did do something physical. I think their super elite events had some physical Adidas Bored Ape crossover merch. I don't think it was for sale, but I think it was probably given out. Their events are just a joke. Like, I don't ever get FOMO, but it does feel like a club you wouldn't mind being a part of. They seem to get ushered into pretty cool little events. Like the recent Other Side testing, they just got like 50 or 60 of their favourite ape holders, and they flew them out to LA or somewhere, and then they hired the back lot of some large studio, and they turned into a little LAN center, and they had like food, and they do these little events, which, I mean, I'm not big into holding NFTs and that kind of holding, art NFTs and that kind of community. I've never really engaged with it properly, but it is cool. Like the way they treat them, and that's the utility, which again, that could be, so this can segue nicely onto, for me, one of the positives is the change in focus of NFTs from art for art's sake to here's some utility for this NFT. Like now, releasing an art series, I mean, people are still doing it and having some success, but it's much, much harder to do. And I want people to focus on how you can utilize NFTs for other things and to give these NFTs utility, which has become the focus. Bored Ape, I feel they almost pioneered it by accident, that by, the sort of, they become like a cultural zeitgeist, and then their events that they were having in Miami and everywhere became utility, which was, I don't feel like they even intended the utility to be as powerful as it was, but it kind of set the pace, and that is something I love. Like I want to hear your opinion more on this, because you collect art NFTs, you've got a lot of cool art NFTs, and it's something you've been interested in for several years. Do you like the fact that they're leaning more towards utility? What's your view?
Yeah, I mean, whenever I hold a Cool Cat, I hold a Deadfellas, I hold some of the like cheaper, smaller brand. Lonely Pop, there we go, plug. That's not financial advice, by the way. No. But yeah, I never really bought those NFTs just because I liked the art and wanted to own them. I didn't exactly buy them as an investment, but I always bought them knowing that, this is going to give me access to particular things, or it's going to give me certain utility, or the ability to buy this hat, or, something that I'd actually want.
It's the community. This has only just occurred to me. You always seem to be you were interested in being part of the community, and that was gated by holding one of the NFTs in a way. Is the community a utility?
I think for some people it is. It's not really for someone like me.
Right.
It might have been 6 to 12 months ago when I, was a bit more involved in the Discords and the group chats and things. But nowadays, I just stick all of the announcement channels in Discord to ping me, and anything else, don't care. Like, I want to know what's going on, but I'm not super keen to be mega involved in everything that's going on.
Why do you think that is? I don't know why this has turned into an interview of you, but it has.
I think time, mostly. Right. Like, there is a lot of crypto Twitter. G-Money actually put out a really good tweet about this I retweeted about a week ago, where it's like, I'm kind of getting sick and tired of people saying GM and kudos to everyone who's still here. Like, if you're on Twitter just saying GM to everybody,
my man,
you're giving no value to anybody. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Never have been, by the way. Never have been. Sick of it. Hated it.
Like, just please stop. Just like, he was like, because obviously he makes comedy videos. That's his whole thing. And he was like, I've made comedy videos for a long time. I love making comedy videos, but Jesus Christ, the fucking Web3 community really drives me up the wall. And I was like, yes, finally someone said it. So yeah, I don't have time to sit on Twitter for 2 hours a day and say GM to everybody and write bullshit tweets that are vaguely motivational or try to keep people around. Like, I don't care. Just buy the NFTs you like, keep them, and see where you're at 6 months down the line, or 12 months down the line, or 5 years down the line. Like, if you're looking to find a community and you find a group of friends and a group of people, you know, in Cool Cats or Bored Apes or Doodles or whatever, then cool, that's awesome. But I don't think that should be your reason, or at least for me, it isn't my reason to find those NFTs. It's not for me to tell anyone else how and why they should buy things. But yeah, I mean, to go back to the original question of utility, I mean, if I had the money for Bored Ape, would I buy one? Yes. And going back even further to the point about Bored Ape partnering with everyone, it must piss easy for them to partner with anybody.
Yeah.
Like, approach any brand. Oh, what's the average kind of user cost, or what's the average like amount of money your users hold? It's like, oh, well, they all hold these assets worth about 75k, and then we throw these parties and they all put $3,000 behind the bar. So I mean, yeah, if you're trying to get them to buy some merch or whatever, then I'm sure this is going to work quite well.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's similar with, like, I don't know, Deadfellas partnered with Wrangler back in the day for like a line of jeans and stuff like that. And Cool Cats has partnered with a couple of merch brands as well. I feel like a lot of these partnerships are just, for the Web2 brands in particular, oh, how can we, one, you know, appear like we're with the cool kids?
Yeah.
And similarly for the NFT brands, it's like, oh, how can we make money and seem more legitimate? And it's, you know, it's a mutual arrangement that works quite well.
Yeah, I think they're falling a bit by the wayside now, those sort of partnerships. Like, people care less.
So yeah, people do care less. They're still happening.
Well, yeah, we need, that's the direction we've been going is more substantial stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what I like. I mean, I don't mind those partnerships at all. They're just not USPs. I mean,
no, and we still have, I think Deadfellas is one where they've promised quite a lot and not much has happened so far. I mean, they've got the partnership with Hologram and they've got cool things coming, but for example, with Cool Cats, I mean, as I've said about 1,000 times on this podcast, you know, they've got an ex-Disney CEO, they've got a number of games developed by, is it Candy Digital, which is like backed by Animoca and a few other people that are in development. They were just at Comic-Con. They've got the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade balloon later this year. You know, actual tangible stuff that's cool and isn't just confined to the people in Web3 and people that care about Web3.
Yeah.
You know, they're actually branching out and becoming something more than just some pretty pictures that crypto degens like. So that kind of thing I can get behind. I feel like I've gotten way off track, but I don't.
No. Well, I mean, I'm interested. That side, I don't know all that much about. I don't follow it that closely.
But the TLDR, I don't really care about the community. It's like, I like what these teams are building, and, you know, it
community's
seems
kind
like
of a byproduct.
Yeah. To me, it is anyway. I mean, it's cool to hear from particular people and get to know particular people a little bit through following them on Twitter, but, you know, that's really the extent of it for me. Again, it's not like I anticipated a return, and on pretty much all of these PFPs, I'm down. Like, I bought my Cool Cat at, 2 ETH, and now it's like 0. I haven't actually checked in a while. It's below 1. I know that much. So, yeah, I mean, I'm still holding on to them. It's not like I'm going to sell them anytime soon, because, again, I didn't exactly buy them as investments or I want to make money off of this. It was, you know, I want to be on the journey or some shit like that, you know. I just thought they were cool. I wanted to support what they were doing, and I want to be a part of whatever happens in the future. So,
okay. What else?
There we go.
Give me something else to be positive about.
Well, I kind of wanted to lump AI into this and how some Web3 projects are using AI. But then I saw a news story break. Was it yesterday? It was yesterday. The Decentraland's put AI in with some like NPCs in the game, and they've done it in the most like crap happens way possible.
I think I saw that as well. I chose not to to cover it. But you're right. There is a lot. I know what some people will say about this, but we're seeing a lot more blockchain and AI coupling with startups, and VC funding is channeling towards people that are using both. I know I've seen enough LinkedIn posts about people who are like Web3 and crypto expert, and then like 6 months ago they changed it to AI expert. Yeah, so a lot of that. Yeah. But the truth is, the two go hand in hand. I'm working on something at the moment about this very subject, how valuable they will be together. And incidentally, that report that I was talking about earlier, that I've just finished writing about, they also highlighted that in the last few months we've seen a lot of investment in blockchain and AI startups. We saw, so one I wrote about recently is InWorld, who are doing some really cool stuff with AI. They've got probably the best AI at the moment, and they're the one that have that private server on GTA. They don't. Somebody used their plugin for it. And it's really cool. Like the best I've seen so far. And then I've not heard of Valhalla Ventures before, but it's a deep tech and gaming startup VC, and they've been looking for AI and metaverse technology, and they've been pumping money into it, like 66 million or something in the last month. So we're seeing a lot of that kind of convergence of technologies, particularly in gaming. I think it makes a lot of sense in gaming, but I think we'll start to see it in other areas like DeFi, which I think is generally a positive, but it still feels like blockchain needs fleshing out, AI needs fleshing out. I don't know for sure if combining the two at this early stage will not create more problems, but I love technology and I love to see people innovating with them, and I do think that the two go very well together. So I'm pretty positive about that. Yeah,
I mean, as you said, especially on LinkedIn, everyone's gone from being a Web3 to an AI expert.
It's funny, isn't it?
And I think I have some friends who are VCs who are actually Web3 VCs. One of them has very recently moved to a Web3 VC company. And I mean, even she was like, hey, we're focusing more on AI than we are Web3 right now. And it's, as the VC world always is, it's always focused on startups rather than existing businesses.
Of course. And they have to go where the hype is, because that's where the money is.
Yeah. I get it. But there's certainly going to be more projects than just Decentraland that integrate AI and Web3, and I'm sure we're not seeing too much of it in gaming as of yet. I mean, gaming at the moment is dominated by the release of Baldur's Gate 3, which has just overtaken everyone's collective consciousness right now. But I think it's coming into... Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I think heading into 2024, we're probably going to see more intrinsic partnerships or more games releasing. But again, we kind of had the situation in 2021 where it's like, this tech's around and we're just waiting for games to release that are using it. And I feel the same is going to happen with AI in games.
Definitely.
There's so many games in development right now that could benefit from the use of AI, but it takes time to implement it and make it good, which again makes me slightly skeptical of the way Decentraland have done it. But I've not tried it, so I can't really say anything about it yet.
The thing with AI is people try and break it as well, which makes regulating it, and I don't mean that in a legal sense. I mean, platforms and Steam and Epic Games and stuff.
How are you going to get an ESRB rating for a game that has AI in it? Because presumably you could get around it. Well, interesting. I mean, we've got GTA 6 that, I mean, it's rumored to be coming out in 2025 now. That's within the ballpark where it could feasibly have good AI integration.
Well, I mean, it's rumored to have both blockchain and AI, but we don't have good evidence for either.
No, that is very true. But it's timing wise would make sense.
I agree, and they're one of those games that just always seem to push what people were doing before. Like they push the boundary of, my God. I mean, Rockstar, I love Rockstar. Things they produce, they're the people that are innovating in the industry and pushing what's possible. So it wouldn't surprise me. But if you think about the development cycles of GTA games, they've been developing GTA 6 for what, a decade? Over a decade, maybe?
Yeah.
It might be over a decade
now, yeah.
So would it just be too late to implement? I mean, AI started catching wind about 18 months ago, like the modern take of AI, 2 years to 18 months ago. I mean, ChatGPT was only, late last year. I don't know if they've had enough time to implement anything like that.
Yeah,
it could be the opposite of what we're saying. It could be actually bad timing, because they're just on the cusp of major tech breakthroughs in games, and they're releasing their game before that happens. But who knows?
I mean, who knows? I mean, I'm currently replaying through the story mode of GTA 5.
It's incredible, yeah.
It's very strange coming back to it a decade after it came out.
I can't remember it. I completed it, 2 years ago.
The entire story is I kind of remember bits of this, but not really. But yeah, I mean, as you said, they've always been forward thinking, and every game that comes out, whether it's, I mean, pretty much every game that they release is a critical success. But as you said, they're always pushing the boat out, always putting new things in. They're always innovating, even though it seems they're not releasing much. So I don't know if you know much about the GTA 5 RP space, blew up on Twitch, but that was run by, so there's this company in the Netherlands called CFX.re, who developed 5M and RedM, which were the tools that kind of facilitated these online RP servers, and they did lots of development, blah blah blah. Rockstar acquired them not too long ago, so it's
interesting.
To me, it's like that's a great thing. I mean, I guess part of it is, hey, this tiny development team from the Netherlands is making our decade-old game relevant again.
Yeah.
So screw it, let's bring them on board. I'm sure they can do stuff for us. But there's obviously a great amount of code and additional development they've done on GTA 5 there that they can build on top of, and I'm certain that that's going to be of benefit to them as they head into the GTA 6 era and whatever next gen console is and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's kind of why I wonder about InWorld, which is originally a metaverse company. They were working with blockchain technology and stuff. Then they started working with AI, and then they raised $100 million on a $500 million valuation last month.
Crazy.
Absolutely killing it. And they're trying to create the most realistic, seamless, and well-integrated AI NPCs. And if you look at, I wrote an article, perhaps we'll put it in the show notes, but I wrote an article about InWorld, I think a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And what they're doing with AI and blockchain and stuff, it's pretty singular. It's not just ChatGPT smushed onto the face of an NPC that takes 10 seconds to reply and then is weirdly negative. I don't know if you see those videos.
Yeah.
And so every person that guy spoke to on that viral AI GTA video was just so miserable to be alive. So the one they're doing, that it answers quickly, and they really want the NPCs to be more as part of the game rather than this tacked on extra where it can forward plot lines, and there's a lot of really complicated behavioral stuff going on in there. Things. So I think they're one of the real positives of Web3, even though it looks like they're primarily AI now. They were metaverse and blockchain, and now they're doing both, which is again the convergence of these two technologies. And I think that they could be an important component. And they're a rather obscure way that I'm kind of excited about Web3 and gaming.
I think the convergence of Web3 AI and the future of gaming is something that's interesting a lot of people right now. Just on InWorld's website, and they claim to have surveyed 1,000 gamers. You can't access the actual survey without signing up for their mailing list, which is, come on.
They got to get you somehow.
Yeah, exactly. But they have some statistics there saying that 99% of gamers think that advanced AI NPCs are the future. I don't really disagree with that. I think there's going to be...
Who could disagree with that?
Yeah.
NPCs are currently just shit AI.
No.
That's...
They just say 81% of gamers would be willing to pay more for a game with AI NPCs. Would they? I mean, we're already at a point where games are like $80, and I don't think people are going to spend much more than that. Yeah, I don't know where that comes from.
I don't know. I imagine that question was phrased differently to how they've said it there.
Yeah. There's also researchers found a correlation between immersion and game enjoyment.
Shocker.
Was that in debate? I'm not sure.
No one questioned that.
No, I'm completely unimmersed in this game, and I hate it. But yeah, I think in World are doing some very cool things. And again, as I said, the convergence of Web3 tech, AI tech, and gaming is going to be something to keep our eyes on. It almost seems like we started 2 years ago saying, oh, Web3 games are going to be the next big thing. And I was like, oh, but Web3 and AI games are going to be the next big thing. It kind of seems like we're kind of passing the buck along a bit, but I don't think anybody could have predicted the explosion that AI has had on the world, I guess, in the last 6, 7, 8 months. And it has just found its way into everything. So, of course, Web3 and gaming is a part of that.
Exactly what I'm writing is, it's just kind of crazy that we've been waiting, like gaming has been a bit stagnated for some years, and we've been waiting for like this some technology to push it forward. Graphics just aren't enough to keep things interesting. And then we had blockchain and we're like, oh my God, this is it. This is the tech that's going to drive gaming forward. And then like 2 years later, it's like, oh my God, we've got AI as well. And now there's these two things pushing it forward. But to drive us back onto crypto and Web3 specifically, I have a few more points. One is DeFi protocols as a whole. I didn't realize this, but in April, we crossed $200 million of total locked value in DeFi protocols, which is enormous. And in June, so under 2 months ago, we passed 3 million active users, which has basically been on an ascent since DeFi protocols were about. So regardless of, prices and everything, that's pretty amazing. And also a link to that is Polygon, which, I'm a massive fan of Polygon. I think incredible ecosystem. And, they've recently had more Reddit avatars, which we've seen. I haven't replied to Stuck at 6 p.m. I saw you replied to him with the Incredible Watchmakers Reddit avatar.
Yes.
That again, that's with Polygon. But
very cool.
Apparently, Polygon has a total locked value of over $5 billion now, which, it makes sense given their partnerships and the sort of things they've been up to. But wow, that's a lot.
I hate to be skeptical, but I wonder how much of that is just VC pump.
It could be. They do seem one of the leading.
They are the leading kind of entertainment blockchain, I suppose. Yeah. Which is, I think, how they phrase it themselves. So they've got a lot of upside. The gods is just
their locked value.
Ethereum, but
yes, their locked value is if it's $5 billion right now with everything at very low prices, that's presumably indicative of a massive, massive locked value at all-time highs or whatever, which is not a fair metric, but whatever.
It seems that, I know, of course, there's games such as Metacore and Gods of Change, etc., that are built on IMX, but it seems to me that if there is any blockchain that's likely to partner with a big existing Web2 game, for example, GTA 6, it's more than likely going to be Polygon.
Yeah,
and I'm sure they're not going to... Polygon may want to make a big song and dance about it, but I doubt Rockstar will. They'll just have some kind of Web3 or blockchain integration, and it'll just be powered by Polygon in the background.
Yeah, which kind of hooks Immutable in a way as well, because obviously got the zero knowledge EVM by Polygon for Immutable. So those two are kind of intrinsically linked. And now there's the Polygon Wax Bridge, which they did a Twitter space yesterday, which I missed, but discuss that. Polygon is just like an octopus, like a Web3 octopus, just putting tentacles in everything.
So you've got blockchain of, the blockchain equivalent of Animoca brands.
Exactly.
It's in everything,
everywhere,
part of everything, and just keeps expanding like a grey goo. So,
they're in themselves, they're kind of a reason to be positive about Web3 at the moment. Is how far they're spreading. And Animoca is another good shout, to be honest. I hadn't got them on my list, but that they are wild and still pumping money in all directions. Yeah. Just crazy amounts of money and crazy number of projects under, like everything I look at, it's like, oh, this hasn't got Animoca mentioned. Oh, wait, it's a subsidiary of Animoca Brands. They own everything. They are the overlords in a nice way.
Well, even earlier when I was talking about Candy Digital, I'm pretty sure that's now a Animoca subsidiary. I'm going to double check, but I think that's right.
They are everywhere.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
Which is kind of crazy though, isn't it? Because so many, when crypto crashed, had no choice but to pull back. Whereas it feels like they're just like, nah.
Yeah.
We're still going.
There's I'm sure, a philosophical conversation about Web3 being like, we don't want centralized entities. Now we have Animoca and Polygon that control everything.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting that way. Although, Ethereum as a whole,
and Ethereum underpins everything, doesn't it? So until WorldCoin takes over the world, which I'm
can't wait,
convinced will happen.
Trying to scan my eyeball, but I'm on it. I will be doing it.
I need to get my appointment booked for that. It's 2 weeks till I'm in London. So
we should do a live episode from the Orb.
We can chat to one of their, what do they call them? Culty,
probably
scan your eye
dystopian.
people. Yeah,
Orb Master.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it in a weird way. Even though as with a lot of people, there's some skepticism about privacy and security and whatever. But yeah, screw it. I don't think anyone's going to do anything malicious with my eyeballs.
Yeah,
so.
I don't care. That's the point we've got to. It used to be like I was reading the cookies, like how much do you learn about me, and now I'm like, yeah, just take my blood. I don't care. You've worn me down.
Yeah, no, we've we are on a slippery slope, aren't we? Jesus Christ.
Well, hey, positive. It's a positive episode. Do you have any other positives that you can throw in?
We've done gaming, which I think is the biggest one for me. Although I think timescales are. I guess my point is there's a lot happening, but it still feels like we're on that verge of mainstream rather than in mainstream adoption so far. There's tangible steps being taken with the Epic Games Store and with plenty of games coming in the pipelines that should have mainstream appeal that will have Web3 in them. But I mean, as always, we're gonna have to wait and see. Finance has come a long way, and I think it will continue to come a long way. Things like Starbucks and Reddit continue to do very well and continue to have mass adoption. Although I think the real world impact of those is up for debate. But I guess if people are interacting with Web3 tech without knowing about it, then that's kind of what we want. Those are the biggest points for me. Do you have anything left in the can?
Not really. I mentioned in my list regulations, which we've talked about many times. Let's not go there again, but they're necessary for growth. So I like that. Also had NBA Top Shots have now sold over $700 million worth of Top Shots, which is crazy, and just kind of a side point for me. Ripple winning the case versus SEC, another very good reason to be positive. We've done an entire episode on that a few episodes ago, so go back and listen to that. I think that's everything I got. I don't know what I'm most positive about. Obviously, gaming is a big part of it. I think it's, for me, weirdly, it's the sneaky number of users that is just going up, like particularly with things like DeFi protocols, where we're in this horrible crypto winter and everyone's miserable about it, but we're still creeping up. 3 million active users is not bad.
Yes. And we're creeping up with the people we want. Like, it's not crypto bros and people trying to make $1 million anymore. It's
people using
cool.
stuff.
Yeah, it's like, oh, cool, Starbucks has a loyalty program and it's got this Web3 thing in it. Like, they probably don't give a fuck about the Web3 thing. They just want rewards for getting their iced latte every day.
That's how we've always wanted it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to see...
Oh, sorry, on the side, you just reminded me. Did you see part of this report was Alien Worlds got knocked off top UAW, unique active wallets, by monthly users, and a DApp has doubled their monthly active users. Have you seen what it is?
No.
It's called Sweat Economy, and
I've heard of this.
It was a Web2 fitness app, and it was the #1 fitness app in 2022. And basically, they've integrated a ton of blockchain stuff.
Oh my god! How have I not got my? Hang on, actually, I do have my Sweat wallet. Let me double check.
Oh, really? You use it?
Yeah, so this was... I had to Google this to double check, but these guys originally had an app called Sweatcoin, which has been around for God knows how long. I've had it on my phone since like 2013 or something ridiculous. And they finally released... Back in the day, Sweatcoin wasn't cryptocurrency. It was just their made-up thing. It's like, oh, hey, get steps, you earn this token, and then you can exchange it for, I don't know, 20% off a HelloFresh subscription or a bit of jewelry made of plastic, crap that nobody wanted. But now that they've turned it into an actually, tokenized currency, that's super cool. And I can't believe I've not deep dived into this a while ago. When they beta launched it, I got my Sweat wallet so I could convert my existing Sweatcoin into the actual tokenized version of it, but I hadn't really looked into it much further than that. But looking at their website, they've really pushed the boat
last month. Unique active wallets. 700,000.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Like that is insane.
Like their app, like on their website, they say they created 13 million wallets. I'm pretty sure the app has like hundreds of millions of downloads.
Yeah. Well, it was the number one fitness app in 2022, which is not an easy task. That is a very competitive app.
And I mean, like I said, I downloaded it years ago just because it was one of those things that seems perfectly suited to Web3. You're already walking, you're already going places, so download this app, have it on you, and it'll track your steps and reward you with this virtual currency. It requires no extra effort or input or anything. Like I can't even remember the last time I opened the app. It's one of those apps you just have, and it runs in the background, and you check it once every 6 months, and it's like...
It's kind of genius, though.
Oh, I've earned this thing, and sure, let's get some Deliveroo discount codes, or I don't know if that's something they do. But just let's claim some free stuff.
Yeah.
And it always seemed perfectly suited to crypto and Web3. And I'm so glad it's exploding in popularity because it really deserves to.
Well, the only thing I don't like is that they've now resurrected the idea of move to earn, which...
I mean, they were move to earn before it was popular.
Yeah. It's just people need to stop saying earn. Because people think, oh my God, I could make $100,000 a year just walking around the block. Like you're not earning. It's That's the only thing. As soon as it spiked in users, people started talking about move to earn again. I was like, oh God, that was a horrible trend.
I mean, what can let me have a look. I have no idea how much this is worth. I've got 2,074 sweat coins.
Okay, well, I'm on it.
I'm just looking at what I can buy. I mean, I can get 25% off a Gusto subscription for like 5 sweat coins. So...
God. Not very much, but it's...
Probably not much, no.
It has been doing well, though.
I know way back in the day you could get like... They had a partnership with PayPal where if you had like 20,000 sweat coins, you could exchange it for like £1,000 in cash. So I don't know if they still do that. Probably not now that they're an actual... cryptocurrency, but I mean I can't believe it took us to this point podcast to get to Sweatcoin, but man, I am bullish as hell on the Sweatcoin.
What a positive note to end on. I'm glad I brought that up.
Man, I've used it for 10 years, so I'm going to continue using it, even though I don't even feel like I'm using it. It's just there, and it works.
To download it.
So it's brilliant. There we go. We've ended on a very positive note, which is very cool. Episode 75 of the Main One podcast is in the cloud, I suppose. Rob, where can we find you?
75. That is crazy, isn't it? 3/4 of the way to 100 now.
We're getting close to our 2-year anniversary, which is...
We are. We should do something for that as well. Romantic dinner.
Well, hey, I mean, I'm going to be in London in 2 weeks. I don't know what you're doing. This isn't a promise of an IRL podcast episode because...
I thought it was a promise of a romantic dinner.
I'm going to be kicking around London with nothing to do.
I'll find my way into London.
So we'll say nothing to do. I'm going to be in Wembley with 80,000 people chanting about what am I doing?
Yeah.
I am going to see AEW's All-In pay-per-view. 80,000 people, Wembley Arena. First time AEW's been to the UK. It's going to be fucking amazing. I've got my shirt. I'm bringing people with me. It's going to be nuts. It is going to be like 6 hours with 80,000 people in Wembley, which is going to be, I imagine, incredibly stuffy and incredibly loud.
Potentially.
we'll see how it goes. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, where can you find me? You can find me in all the places you always find me. No one's listening at this point. TokenGamer.io, LinkedIn, Token Gamer News on Twitter, John Webb.
It's at Hydropowered on everything. Twitter is the best one. If you care about what I'm doing outside Web3 at the moment, at TopSplitGG on everything. It's my new sim racing outlet. It's going better than I thought it would.
That's what I like to hear.
That's good to hear. But yeah, otherwise, if you're in London and you're somehow still listening to this, say hello. I'm popping down in a few weeks. Yeah, that's about it, really.
Yeah, I'm happy to keep these much more succinct these days, because I'm surely we can get the listener metrics for when people, like on YouTube, when you see most people skip to this point, it's like the most replayed moment.
Oh, yeah.
There must be the opposite of that for podcasts, when most people shut our podcasts.
Yeah, that's very true.
I reckon it's when we say the episode number at the end. I think that is when most people say
we'd be better off not having an outro, really. Like, if it's anything like the analytics to the Top Split YouTube channel, you get to what do you think? And all of a sudden, everybody's disappeared.
There's no new information coming.
No, so screw this. Anyway, episode 75 of the Main One Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, a 5-star podcast review would be fantastic. It's about it, really, isn't it? There we go. Thank you very much for tuning in, everybody. We hope you tune in again next week.